Let's get ready for court and talk about Wendi Adelson's testimony yesterday. I want it to be clear that Wendi did testify because she was given limited immunity. That doesn't mean that she was given full immunity and that they could never charge her, but essentially what they can't do is use her testimony that she gives today against her in the future. Her attorney even gave a statement that said that if she wasn't given that limited immunity, that she would have asserted her Fifth Amendment right. Now, that does not mean that that's because she's guilty or that she had anything to do with it. That's because her attorney knows that they can and will use anything you say against you in the court of law. And you cannot talk yourself out of being charged with something. You just cannot. They'll take all that and use it against you. So there's no point in giving them ammunition. So if they were to charge her, they would be able to use anything that she says against her, right? And so by not saying anything, even when you're innocent, you're not giving them anything to go off of. So trust me when I say that because she would assert her Fifth Amendment right, that does not mean that she's involved or was involved. It's just saying, hey, we ain't saying shit about it. If you guys want to try and prove it, so be it. But that's that. The judge also made it clear that the immunity extends to the cross-examination, but it does not extend to just whatever questions the defense wants to ask. They are kind of limited by the direct. One thing that she said was that mom and brother and dad were going to try and pay Dan $1 million to let the kids relocate to South Florida. But she said that she didn't think that that would work with Dan. She also said that she didn't remember, but they showed with the email that Donna said that she pretended to be Wendi and contacted financial institutions. I think that that was really important to come out for Wendi because remember, Luis Riviera said that he did all of his communications with Wendi, or that Katie did it all with Wendi. So this could show that Donna was pretending to be Wendi. He said how Donna wanted a psych eval of Danny, and Wendi said that he didn't need it. He's a very accomplished, law professor. That Donna didn't say some very nice things about Danny, including that he's an asshole, a piece of shit, and that they also made it very clear that Momma Donna was very involved in Wendi's divorce. Really, the prosecutor was asking her just about every question you could think. Okay, need a new one here. Give me a second. Always have to have backups. Anyways, the prosecutor was saying basically like, you asked all the questions that Momma Donna sent you basically in regards to your divorce, right? AKA what they were getting at is that Wendi was basically talking to her mom about every single thing in regards to the divorce, and that, mom had all this say, and that mom was running the show, which has been the literal theme of this entire case and this entire thing involving Donna. And Wendi was basically like, I might have asked them if they were, relevant or if they made sense to ask, but I didn't ask all of them. Then Wendi said that it was Momma Donna's plan to take the kids and have them turn to Christianity instead of Judaism. Basically have them take pictures in front of a church and have them do all these things because that would make Dan mad or make him want to switch things. And, Wendi was like, that was never an option. I was never going to do that. That was definitely one of Momma Donna's plans, was to try this whole, religion thing and use it against him. That's how bad she was trying to get these kids to be able to move to South Florida with her. And, I think that even Donna said that she would pay for all of this stuff. One thing I have changed up is I do my lip stain midway through now because it just makes it easier. They were going with Darling. One thing that was interesting was about Charlie and how he said he wanted to hire a hitman. And then Wendi said kind of this was what she thought was a poor joke, because then he said no, I'll get her a TV because a TV is cheaper. And that was that. And essentially that's what they're saying, is that this is the way that she's using plausible deniability. The TV is her deniability, her alibi, her way of, not knowing anything is that, Charlie said, joked about this hitman and she said no, and he got her the TV instead. That's kind of her deniability, right? Or her plausible deniability. And I'm just kind of yeah, kind of, but not really. She said that her mother may have known that Dan was planning travel the day after he was unalived. And that it's highly likely that her mom kept track of when Dan was going out of town and was traveling and all that, because hello, psycho mom. If you have not realized yet, she is legitimately a control freak, wants to control anyone's lives in her hands that she can. And a lot of Donna's testimony during this time was spent with essentially I don't recall, I don't remember. And then the state literally backing it up with the receipts. They get and said, oh, well, what about here? Go to page here. Do this, do that. And, she's like, yep, that's what I said, da-da-da. And so a lot of her testimony is like that. And it just makes you wonder, I don't know how well that went with the jury. I don't. Because they're probably What do you mean you don't remember? This legitimately is not her first rodeo. She has been testifying at every trial, especially her brother's, which, yes, was back in 2023. But, ma'am, you are an attorney, or you should know better, and that you should be prepped for these things and know that you need to answer the exact same way, because if you don't, there's inconsistencies. And what she doesn't need right now is inconsistencies, because inconsistencies can lead her to be looking extra guilty in front of these prosecutors, who I think is very clear they're trying to get Wendi. And so, she better watch herself. Today we're going to mix hibiscus and acai, because I love when these colors go together. It creates just this beautiful mauve color. Then the defense got up and started doing their questioning. Their first thing was basically like, when you were on the phone with your mom and she sounded shocked. And Wendi was like, yes. She also made it clear that she was happy with Dan, and that, she was happy to be with him and what have you. Also even pointed out that he tried to get a job at the University of Miami, and that, all these travel expenses were going to be paid for him to relocate. The defense is clearly trying to show that this $1 million was not a bribe, but was in fact to help offset expenses, to make it seem more like of a doable thing, essentially. That is what they're trying to do with this line of questioning. For powders, we're going to remove the lip. And then to just make sure that there's no harsh lines, I just go over it like that, and then I'll wipe it clean again, and it'll be good to go. Set the creams. Fix the hair while that setting spray is drying. She said that she would have never tried to take 100% custody away from Dan. It was never in the plans, was never going to do that. She said he loved them, they loved him, and that was that, and that she obviously, again, would never do that. Got to do that under eyes. Probably should do that right now. They questioned her about saying that her mom hated Danny at the time, and said, she was babysitting for Danny at the time. Even made him his favorite banana bread. And, that doesn't mean that she hated him. And she's like, well, I knew that she was really mad at him. One thing that she said was that basically if she took relocation off the table, it seemed like her and Dan may have been able to work things out. And then the defense called her out and basically said, well, you said that, your mom hated it, then you clarified that she was just mad at him, but you actually testified that you hated him at the time. Isn't that correct? And of course the answer was, I don't remember saying that. Of course you don't. The other thing the defense made a big deal about was basically like, Wendi, you knew that this was a final order in June, and you never told your mom that it's a done deal, it can never be changed. And after she found that out in July, those emails stopped, right? And Wendy's like, yeah. She's like, so basically she would have stopped before that if you would have just told her that this was a done deal, and you knew because you stipulated that this was going to be an end all be all. And the defense ended their questioning in a very strategic way, basically saying like, you said that, anyone that was involved should be charged, even if it was family, right? And she's like, yeah. And the defense attorney goes, and that includes you, right? And she goes, yes, anybody responsible should be charged. That's that, like they're trying to set her up. I'm literally just running out of all my products today, I guess. Gotta go to the store. For what it's worth, I don't think that last question by the defense was as strong hitting as people thought, or as gasping, just for the simple fact that she already knew that, and that was the exact way she had to answer that question. Now, her testimony did take several hours. So this is a very condensed version. There was a lot more that happened. I'll probably touch more on it later, but thanks for being here. Thanks for following along. We are on to court myself, and then Donna's trial is on to day 3, and hopefully we'll be able to be live later and chat about it and talk about it while it's in real time. I hope you guys all have a great day. And don't forget, it's a great day for a great day.